So if you're a skilled professional and you're currently in the 0 to 1 stage of your coaching offer, where you're trying to hit a arbitrary, let's say 15K per month in sustainable and predictable revenue, the one thing I've realized across working with companies doing up to 2.5 million ARR all the way to complete beginners who are just getting started, is that most early stage founders don't have a strategy problem when they're not hitting their results. They have a cowardice problem that is disguised as overplanning. Because after generating enough data from the 700K in client results that we've gotten in our consultancy, it's become clear that the biggest predictor of success, especially in the very sensitive beginning stages, is a founder's ability to have uninhibited execution on 3 things and 3 things only, which I call the rule of 3. And in this video, we're gonna break down how we as a niche consultancy audit and break down the launch of new offers so that these founders can hit the revenue levels they want in a shorter amount of time without any guesswork. But first, I want to tell you a story. When I was 21, when all of this first started, I had just graduated from King's College London doing a degree called clinical neuropsychiatry. I was working in a recovery center where I was helping teenagers recover from mental health difficulties and readjust to everyday life. And I loved that job. I'm not going to pretend and try to agitate the pain over here, but there was one thing that kept on biting me inside, because every single day I woke up where I was not working on my own dream, I felt like I was betraying myself. And if you're watching this, you may be wired the same way, but it got to a point where I would wake up with no meaning at all that it would push me into depressive episodes. And after a lot of trial and error, I just knew the only solution to that was to start working for myself. Which brings us here. And between the years of 2021 to 2024, I became a copywriter, where I started writing marketing content for different businesses, which transitioned into me launching my own growth operating agency and launching multiple offers during that entire journey. And in a way, all of these offers did very well. We crossed 10K per month on almost all of them, and we worked with really cool clients, with one of them even being an enterprise client, which I still have no idea how we got to this day. But the problem was that they never lasted. Months after launching the offer, me and my co-founders at the time would work so hard, burn out, hit a ceiling in the business, and then everything would crash and burn and we'd have to start all over again. And in the world of business, it's not about how much quick cash you can make. Success is more so how much cash you can make over a sustained and long period of time. So according to that definition of success, we failed. And funny story is that this cycle of starting something, burning out, and failing happened 4 times. It would always happen at the same time of the year, which made me realize that this was not something random. There was a pattern to this. And if I kept on repeating that pattern, I would keep on getting the same results, so something had to change. And this is what I realized. After the last cycle of failure, the pain was too great, and I put all of my focus into figuring out what went wrong, and this is exactly what I realized. That when you're launching a business, there are 100, if not 1,000 things that you can do, but there are only 3 things that you should do at any given moment of your business journey. And after working with over 30 clients in info, coaching, and agency, I realized that the biggest predictor of success was when the founders were able to apply uninhibited execution on 3 things at any given time that would solve the immediate bottleneck of their business. So the trick to quote unquote make it over here is not to work longer than everybody else. That part is easy. In 2026, everybody can hit 16-hour days like it's nothing. But that's only half the story. The real trick that would define whether or not somebody would make it was their ability to identify what their main bottleneck in their business was and what 3 main actions they could take at any given day to solve that bottleneck. And those who were able to master that practice were the ones who grew faster than anybody else. And on the flip side, the biggest cause of failure that I saw was when a founder was unable to identify what their bottleneck was and instead opted for a spray and pray approach, where they would put all their energy into a bunch of different tasks, hoping that each one of those random levers they pulled would push things forward. And when I look back at my graveyard of offers, I realized that it was the very action of not putting focused attention on a few selected action items and just pulling levers here and there, hoping that something would work. And after going through years, months, and even years of painful ups and downs, last year I decided to launch my digital consultancy, where we applied all of the learnings that we took from those past years in order to make this the last and only offer that I'll be running for the next few years in my foreseeable future. And funny enough, just at the end of last year, we crossed 100K in total sales, and we generated a total of $700,000 for our entire client roster, which was a record month for our consultancy. And when we looked at what the main predictors of success was, it was our ability to constantly identify what the main bottleneck of the business was and pour the entire business's attention towards solving that bottleneck using the rule of 3. And once we applied that to all of our clients in a systemized way, everybody flourished. And we gave it a name. We called it the signal map. And it operates through first principle thinking. I want to give a little example of how we applied it. So one of my main clients at the moment is a SaaS founder who's working full-time at the moment as a product manager, and he's trying to take his skills from his corporate job into his own SaaS business. And his goal is to hit 10K MRR this year, and to do that, he's got 3 things that he needs to do. The first thing is he needs to have a working product and continue iterating that product based off the feedback that he gets from his users. The next is that he needs to have a conversion funnel that can predictably spit out paying users from a predictable amount of paid traffic. And number 3 is he needs to generate traffic from his founder-led marketing and his company page so that his conversion funnel can go to work and spit out some paying clients, like we said. In each of these activities, there are 100 sub-activities that he could do at any given moment. For example, he could continue working on his app, but he's got no paying users. He could start working on his conversion funnel and his go-to-market plan, but he has no traffic to pour it into. And at the moment, he's never done any marketing, or he doesn't know how to shoot content, and he doesn't have any ad budget, which means that his entire ability to generate traffic is constrained down to networking, direct outreach, and organic marketing. When you go, and together by going through his signal map, we came to the conclusion that there's no point working on a product or a conversion funnel when there's no traffic to point it to, which means that what my client was going through at the moment was a traffic problem. And there were 3 main actions that he could take daily to solve that traffic problem. And depending on your business, this could be anything, but for him, this was sending out ideal user persona interview requests so that he could get a bunch of qualitative data to use in his marketing to be super targeted. The second thing was to shoot targeted content using his market research and market data so that he could target his ideal user better. And the third thing was to start onboarding beta users so he could generate social proof and user results from people using his app that would later buff up his entire marketing and generate trust and conviction in what he was doing. Though 3 actions only, to be repeated every single week to break the traffic bottleneck that he was currently going through. And using the signal map, he would continue doing this process until he solved the bottleneck, went to the next bottleneck that he had to solve that would have its own set of actions, and continue with that process until, like a checklist, he would check every single list and bottleneck until he would reach his goal, because the signal map really outlines your entire step-by-step roadmap in between where you are now as a client all the way to your current end goal. And as a founder, you want to remember that your ability to make it does not depend on how many levers you can pull hoping that your business would magically grow. It all depends on your ability to be very selective on the things that you do and separating the 20% of signal to the 80% of noise and pouring your uninhibited execution onto it. Stay cooking.